Welcome back to our seventh episode of Make Dream Happen. I'm super excited today. We had another special guest. His name is Noah. So, hi Noah, how are you today? How was
I'm
your week?
good. It's going really well. The weather's been great. The week's been busy, but a good productive busy.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
So, let's introduce yourself a little
sure.
bit. Tell us more about you, the people to know you here in Phoenix and around the world.
Yeah. So my name's Noah. I am a registered nurse and a personal trainer. I've been a registered nurse since 2014 and a personal trainer since 2020. Although I've been working out and exercising since I was a kid, so it's been kind of second nature for me, and I'm very comfortable in that environment. Um, I moved here in Phoenix beginning of 2019, so I've been here just over 5 years now.
Where are you
So
from?
I'm born and raised Ohio, but I moved around for work for about 3 or 4 years. So I came from California. I was in San Diego for
Oh,
four
that's
years.
nice.
Yeah, it is.
Awesome, perfect. And now you have your own business. You are Body by Vernon. That is
Yep,
like your fitness coach.
it is.
Awesome,
Yeah,
perfect.
that is. It's personal training with an emphasis on nutrition because a lot of times that's overlooked. And I really like to talk about nutrition and food because it's a really big, important factor, whether you're someone who's exercising or just want to be healthy. So I really like incorporating food, talking about food, because there's a bigger conversation to have about it that people don't know either how to look at food and see what is healthy, or even just reading a label and knowing if they're being deceived or if something is as healthy as it says. So
That's good.
yeah,
Yeah, because sometimes we just like work out and we forget about how our diet and how we should be eating
yeah,
to not just to have a nice physique, also for our health too.
right,
Awesome. And talking about health, because I the first time that I heard from you was in 2019
hmm,
from Preston. Actually, that was the year that I met Preston.
okay,
Preston. That was
yeah,
when he did the first tarot reading for
okay,
me.
yeah.
Yeah. So and I know that you've been like for some hard time.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. 2019 was a journey. It was May of 2019 that I actually suffered the hemorrhagic stroke. And we were on vacation at the time. Um, Trying to think what else. So we were on vacation. We were actually in Mexico. So we weren't even here in town. And I had the hemorrhagic stroke. I had to be rushed into emergency surgery. And I woke up probably like half a day later in the hospital down there in Mexico and stayed there for I think 2 or 3 days until I was medically okay to fly back here. And then I was here in the hospital for about a month doing
And
like
how
rehab.
was that experience for you?
It's the scariest thing ever. It's like you think you've been scared before, you think you've hit rock bottom, and you think you've gone through hardship before, and then something that drastic and devastating happens that you're like, no, this is definitely up there with the top experiences that can be so challenging and so both debilitating and just hard to wrap your head around it of like what just happened to me. And it was a very big, I guess, wake up call is the best way to describe it because I was probably heading in that direction with my partying, using drugs. I wasn't a big drinker. I did occasionally, but it was more the drugs and steroid use at the time that caused me to have the stroke. So that kind of, was a huge wake up call. That was like, if you continue to do it, which, if I do, it will probably kill me. And so it's something I don't do anymore. It's, I'm sober and I just never thought I'd be the person that would adopt a sober lifestyle and be. I just always thought I had a good balance on it, both the socializing and the productive uh, career and productive gym routine. And then that happened, and I was like, oh, okay, now the balance has completely shifted, and I really need to figure out what my priorities are. And so yeah, I never really thought being sober would be a part of my identity. I just kind of assumed like I could keep doing what I was and nothing bad would happen. And then one day I woke up in a hospital bed in Mexico and changed everything.
And do you think that was like the universe like telling you, hey, you need to
Yeah,
start doing that?
it was. And funny is probably not the best word, but interestingly enough, around the same time with work, I was a travel nurse. So I would change contracts every 3 to 6 months. And around that time, my contract was just ending like that week. And I remember talking to Preston. I was like, yeah, I'm getting a little bored with bedside nursing. I was working in the ICU for probably 4 or 5 years, maybe somewhere around there. And I remember just telling him at one point, I was like, I'm kind of getting a little like bored with it. It's not as, entire, like it just doesn't give me the same motivation to like be excited to go to work and just kind of like have that enjoyment or fulfillment from it, which is hard because with nursing, it's not the happiest thing. It's not always the most like joyful experience. 9 out of 10 times, it's pretty sad, it's depressing, and it's hard. And I was in my 20s already and I was getting burnt out. So I was like, I need to start thinking about, am I going to go back to school and do like a nurse practitioner? Am I going to go and do like maybe more an administrative manager role? What am I going to do that's different than being in the bedside or in the hospital working like one on one with people? And then that happened, and it kind of completely took me out of the hospital as a caregiver, put me in there as a patient for a month. But I couldn't work, I could hardly sit up, I could hardly stand at the time. So it was really like, okay, well, I was telling Preston I need to figure out what I'm doing next, and now I literally have to figure out what I'm doing next because I can't go back to nursing. So
Like, yeah, that's
yeah,
like a like totally like change for you.
yeah.
So, but during that process, during your recovery, what was your thought? What were you thinking after that happened and you were in the hospital? Like you said, now
Yeah.
that you were not the caregiver, now you were the one that was in the hospital waiting for somebody to help you. What were you thinking
It
in that
is.
moment?
It's very eye opening because I had never been a patient in the hospital before. I don't. Yeah, I don't think I'd ever been a patient before, and it's very weird being on the other side of it because essentially you feel so helpless. And for some people, depending what you go to the hospital for, you might not be as helpless, or you may feel like you have more independence. But I couldn't move half my body, so I really needed help with just about anything you think of. Like if I was going to the bathroom, taking a shower, anything. Like I couldn't tie my shoes. I had to learn how to get dressed again, and it was just very challenging. And you think you have these hardships or these things that have been challenging before. Like I thought nursing school was really hard, and it is. It's a hard thing to do. This was 20 times harder to go through. Like learning how to walk again is very challenging. And I remember at the beginning of it when I had like woken up from surgery and was in the hospital in Mexico for those few days. Like a lot of times when I was able to think, because I was very like groggy from medicine and just like the injury, a lot of times I kept thinking like I wasn't going to be able to do a lot of things that I thought I was going to be able to do. I wasn't going to be able to travel again, do, sports or working out again. There was so like all these things of like, I'll never get to do that again, or what if this happens? Or you start to like think back on the times where you were hesitant to do something or you felt that'll probably embarrass me, or I'll be really scared to do that, or people may laugh at me for that, or, they'll judge me for that. All of those thoughts completely gone. Like you will not care about them when you think you are about to essentially die and you think you're, on the brink of something really bad happening, or it just did happen and you don't know if you'll ever get home again. A lot of those thoughts pretty much disappear and you're like, I don't care. I don't care what people think. I don't care, what I do. I want to do it for me. I want to make my life happy. I want to achieve the goals that I want to achieve and just not let the perception of other people hold me back, or my own self perception that, I won't be able to do it because I won't know until I try. So,
So, well, that's a big lesson for everybody. So,
yeah.
I think yeah, at that point you like you say you stop worrying about other people and just
Mm,
thinking about you and be present and like say I'm gonna do this for you.
yeah.
And that was your motivation to get out of that situation.
It was, and it's I'm trying to think what else I was gonna say. It's very challenging, I think, especially as men, gay men, especially in our community. It can be hard to push the envelope or try new things with that fear of judgment, or people thinking like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like that's not cool, or it's people may laugh at it, or no one's gonna join you, or they might not like your group, or it's not going to be as popular as other people's events or whatever it is. Like none of it matters. Like the fact is that we should be trying to do those things, because then we are going to achieve them and create better environments for not only ourselves but for the people around us, our friends, our family, people in our community that are looking for those spaces, and like other people to lead in that direction, to start something, or create a space where other people might feel more comfortable. So that's kind of the goal with my personal training, is what I want to do is create a space that people feel comfortable in, and have a trainer that they can talk to, not only working out but about anything, because
Yeah, about life.
I'm not going to judge. I've done A through Z of so many embarrassing things, or things that clearly were very traumatic for me or didn't have a great effect. And I'm not going to judge and sit there like, oh, okay, like why would you do that? Or I don't think that's a great idea. But having someone to just talk to and just can relate with on maybe not the exact same level, but some level in some regard. So
Awesome. That's
yeah.
now your way to serve people and
Hmm.
like share with you your love to life
Yeah.
and your love to fitness too. That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's what I like, because just, we take a lot of things for granted. And, at the time of the accident, I never thought it would happen to me. I always thought like, oh, okay, like I'll be totally fine, and there won't be any issues. And then something like that does happen, and it makes you question like, oh, I'm not, immortal. I'm not Superman. Like I can get hurt, and so it's a big wake up call. And I think a lot of times people kind of get comfortable in situations and they don't realize that it can happen to anyone. Just because it happened to me, it could happen to just about anyone. So
And also there's a more important thing than just party and socialize and to
mm-hmm.
try to look good for others. Because sometimes when you said we try to look good not for ourselves, not to impress another people, and that's when we lose our authenticity. And
Mm-hmm.
I Preston mentioned the other day, I start say you start feeling happy and feel fulfill yourself when you start to when you start being authentic.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's true.
That's cool. And
Yeah,
that's also the year like experience after the accident. As like you say, it was like hey, wake up. You're not
yeah.
doing like what you be doing. You come.
And it was hard to get to that point, because I think sometimes a good example is like in the media, if things like traumatic event like this happens to a celebrity or someone A-list, whoever it may be, they'll highlight, the recovery of like the beautiful part of it, where they make this grand change, or they highlight only the good parts of it. They never really like talk about the struggles and challenges they have to face to get there, because the point where I'm at today with myself and like my self confidence, knowing who I am as a person, which I thought I did for years. I had no idea. I was just kind of like going through the motion. I had no true sense of direction. From the accident to today, which it's five, almost 5 years now. It took me probably a solid like 3-ish years to get to this point of trying to figure out like, okay, who am I? What am I about? What are my values? What do I stand for? And it's hard because the first year or two, I really couldn't think about that, because I was focusing so much on my physical therapy, where it was like the walking, the coordination, getting my strength back, and just doing daily things. And once I got a better handle on that, I was able to kind of dive deeper into like, okay, now I need to work on inside of me, not just the physical being able to do stuff portion, which is great. And you have to do that, but I need to figure out like what I'm about as a person. And that's the really hard part that almost never gets talked about, is, me being in a spot today where I have a business, I have a mission of how I want to help people and what I want to do with my life, that didn't happen. It doesn't happen the next day after
Yeah.
the stroke. It
It's not
happens.
overnight. Yeah.
Yeah, it
It's
was
a
a
process.
year's process. Yeah, so it took a while.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's like you say. Sometimes people don't think, oh, he's just success.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just like, he just show up, but people don't realize this is a process. So you mean like for a long process to get to that point.
Yeah, because it's not glamorous. It's not exciting necessarily. I think it's boring, kind of, is the best word. Like it's a very slow process. For most people, it's very like day after day of doing the same thing, but trying to get a little bit better at it, whatever it may be. And so you're not going to see those results typically the next day. It's going to be weeks, months, or years.
Yeah, because it's like when you start working out, you won't see the result just like to go one day to the gym. So, and that's when people also get frustrated. I don't see, and they start going to the gym because they don't see the result right away. But it's a process. Everything is a process, and everything takes a time. So that's that. Now that leads me to my last question.
Sure.
Have you have changed after the accident? What are the things that you are doing now that you didn't before your accident?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say things I'm doing more of now, because I almost did just about everything that I was doing beforehand. I am still doing now. Because it was mostly working out, going to work, and kind of the usual. But I would say more so now, I have a bigger focus on whatever it is that I am doing, that it is within, not necessarily something that'll benefit me, but something that I'm going to enjoy as a person, or something that other people will enjoy to experience with me. So one of my goals is to not have to get another job, like working for someone. And I never thought I'd be someone who has their own business, their own, company, and running it, because I've just always worked for other people. I've worked for, a boss or someone. And I was talking to a friend of mine just the other week who runs his own business as well. And he's like, could you imagine going back to having a boss and having to like ask to take a break? And I was like, no. Like, it's hard because you get so used to it. And at first it was really hard to get used to, like creating a schedule, sticking to it, making sure I follow up on clients and all of that. But once you get used to it, it is pretty easy. But yeah, thinking about going back to another job is just kind of like, I just want to do what makes me happy, and doing this makes me happy. Seeing other people become healthier really makes me happy, and that ties in a lot of nursing of what I did, and that is what I like doing. Because with personal training, my ultimate goal is to keep people healthier and essentially keep them out of the hospital, is the point of exercise for anyone. And so that's really what I enjoy. And so to go back to your question, now I spend more time focusing on things that are more centered to me and my mission or my values, as opposed to just kind of going through the motion of what other people might be doing. And, oh, if everyone's going to this event, I might as well just go since everyone else is going. And I have a free Friday night, so why don't I occupy it with that time? And, it sounds fun. And, I wish that I could go to those things. It's not necessarily a safe environment for me anyways, but I'd rather spend that time doing something that is going to, create more lasting memories, create experiences. I want to travel to new places, see different things. And for a while, I was kind of just like going in circles, like going to the same cities, the same events. And now that I am focusing more on myself and, what I'm about, that's definitely the big change.
Awesome. Yeah. You just want to live your life, be present, and be happy and enjoy what you're doing. So, definitely. And this, I think, is something that everybody should do. Like, do the thing that you enjoy to do.
Yeah, it is. And I definitely still see it a bit with, because we still have a lot of friends who are still in like the socializing scene, and you go out, here and there. There's not to say there's anything wrong with it. It's just the decisions people make when they're at certain events is what is essentially wrong. And it's, can cost you having an injury like mine or cost you your life, basically. And, a lot of times I see people and I'm like, I just wish like they could know what I know now before something bad happens to them. So I want, everyone to be able to experience like a really fulfilling life. And, maybe that is like what they find fulfilling, and that's fine. But then make sure that they're making smart choices and safe choices too if they're doing it. So it's all about balance, knowing what is, really meaningful to you. And if that's what you're about, that's what you're about. But I think sometimes it's really easy to kind of get just caught up in the routine of just going with the flow and not being able to pull yourself out of it and asking yourself, what do I actually enjoy? Like, what do I want to do? Because for years, I probably could not have answered that before the stroke. I probably was just like, I don't know. I would just go out just to go out. So
Yeah.
it's just like
just to go out.
Yeah, because I didn't know what I wanted or what I enjoyed, and now that I have a better handle on that, I'm like, oh no, I'd rather go to bed early so I can get up and hike, or I'd rather maybe go to that event on Thursday because I love that entertainer or whoever it may be. And that way I plan for those things. It's not just spur of the moment. It's not just, oh, I'll sacrifice 2 nights worth of sleep just to go to do something. It's kind of, you got to find a balance.
Yeah. But now you're like, you're loving yourself more, and you're like, your priority now is you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
Because you do that. Some people say, oh, that's being selfish, but I don't think it's no. Because you're taking care of yourself, you're loving you. Yeah. That means the people that are around you, that you're surrounded, are also gonna be good too, because you're good.
Yeah, and that's really true. Because a lot of times people don't want to think of themselves or put themselves first, and when it comes to like what they're all about. And a good example is like when you're on an airplane, they say put your mask on first before you help anyone else, because you can't help someone if you then become
exactly.
Yeah. So that kind of goes to, it's not selfish to want to take care of yourself, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to take care of yourself nor other people. So you're really just doing a disservice if you don't. So I think it's important that everyone takes care of themselves.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good to hear that.
Yeah.
Awesome. And now, how was that idea to start your own business came out? How was your beginning? And I'm gonna ask the same question that I asked. How do you get your first customer, and how was that?
So it's challenging starting a business, because I have a few friends who have started their own business before. One is in clothing, and just a few other that are all in different, service industries or whatever it may be. And it's hard. The thing about it that people won't tell you is that it's very lonely to start your own business. It is. It's very time consuming. It's very hard. Well, a good friend of mine, he had said when I first started, he said, you are going to get discouraged at the beginning. It might be 6 months, it might be a year before you get a client, before you actually make money on your business. And you just have to find the willpower to keep pushing forward, to keep doing it, which it happened. I probably was toying around with the idea middle of 2020 when like lockdown was going on and we were all pretty much inside and had nothing else to do. So I was like, well, let's kind of brainstorm what I want to do. And, I would be on and off with projects in the years since, but since then, it really wasn't till last year that I was like, okay, I'm going to take a break from nursing. I'm going to totally focus all on personal training and really see what I can do with it. So it's hard, and it is true. Like, it may take a while before you get your first client, before you make any money. So that's like the part no one really talks about or tells you, and that it's also lonely because you're by yourself for a large majority. And even if you have clients, you're talking to people, but it's not like it's different in some way. But yeah, that's the hard part about it. But I got my first client, I think it was the beginning of, when was that? Maybe it was the end of last year or beginning of this year was my official first client. And then from there, it was kind of just a trickle effect. And so I've, have clients now that I'm working with. And so It's exciting. And it is eye-opening once you do have your clients and they are paying you. You're like, oh, I have to take care of people. I need to do this job now that, I haven't done for months because I just hadn't had a client, or, I was just getting started. And then once somebody pays you, it turns a switch on and you're like, okay, game on. I need to like perform my best because this person's relying on me to provide a great service. And so that, they can achieve their goals too. So, yeah.
That's good. How are you feeling now with your in this process or in this moment with your business?
Really good. It's still, in its the baby stage. I'm still, developing things. I'm still learning how to like create videos for things. And a lot of it, not everything is in my wheelhouse. I'm not skilled at everything. So there's definitely a learning process to some things like editing, marketing. I've worked with a friend of mine who does some marketing. So he's been able to help me with some like really helpful tips. So that's kind of the beauty too, because everyone I know that does run their own business. And so it is really helpful because we go through a similar process, or, we have the same similar struggles or the same thoughts a lot of the time too. So it's nice having friends in that regard that you can bounce ideas off of.
Oh, that's nice.
And say like, hey, I've tried this. I don't think it's working. What would you suggest? And it really does help, and it makes it less lonely too. So that's really nice.
Yeah, I have seen your videos on social media, and they're really good though.
Thanks.
I'm learning that too, like how to create content in social media. It's kind of hard because something we're afraid what other people is gonna say. But I think is like just forget about that. Just do it because it's the way that when the people see that you're real, that's when they gonna start like they start following you and they're liking you, and that's where you get your for clients. And also that you realize in this process and you already have your clients, and you the most important thing that I think is you're serving people and you're helping people to be healthy, to feel better when sell, and also how you say to avoid what you went through. And that's something that you like a lot of people can learn from you and had a really good like experience from you. That's awesome. And where people can find you, your social media, like just Facebook? Do you have a website?
So I have a website that's a work in progress, but it is an up and working website. It's bodybybernard.com. They can reach me at Instagram. It's body.by.bernard.
Yeah, you're gonna put it over there.
Just perfect.
For people.
So I have Facebook page, Body by Bernard as well. And then I also have a TikTok that I occasionally will try and use. And that also is Body by Bernard. So it's all pretty uniform. And I try to check them all daily. I'm trying to post somewhat consistently. It's hard when you're balancing clients and doing that, but it's a learning process. And it's now something that I'm enjoying. And it is something that I look forward to doing, which in the past, I didn't always look forward to work or going to do something. And now I do, because I know most of the time whatever I'm creating is supposed to have a direct benefit to someone. And a lot of times when I was working as a nurse, it didn't always feel like that. And that's why I got into it. And so now that I do get that feeling that I am helping people more directly, even if it is through social media and just the advice that I may give, if it's, how to better manage your blood pressure and eat, some tips for...
I saw that video.
and things for like, managing your weight and, making healthier food choices. And I think I have a video coming out on, I think there's one coming up for protein powder, just like general advice, nothing specific. I think another one after that is, a lot of my clients either work in the city or commute or have like not a 9-to-5 job, so they're on the go a lot. And so a big question is like healthy snacking, because I love snacking, I love food. And so I definitely had to learn how to do healthy snacking. So that will probably be another video coming up soon, is how to make healthier snack choices, because that's a big one that gets people.
Yeah, because sometimes we're hungry during like between meals, and we don't make the right decisions.
It happens.
That happens.
Yeah.
I'm been working now, but I still feel that I need that I'm not eating in the way that I should be eating?
It's really hard to, especially in our country, just because of like how our food system is set up, and it can be very misleading. Like I said, with like labels and our schooling system here, we barely touch on nutrition. We get all of it feels like 5 minutes on it in school, and it's food is the source of our energy of our life, and we really should get more education on it. So
That's good.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good message, a really good message that you're giving to the people here around here in Phoenix and wherever they listen and watching us. Cool, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Noah, for
You're
being here
welcome.
today.
Thank you for having
Of
me. This
course,
was so much fun.
it was a really good conversation. But now I'm doing this to my guests and I'm asking just random questions.
Okay.
So the first question is: is you were president of the universe for
Okay.
one day, and you had to create a law that is gonna last forever. What will be that law?
Is it of just the country or the whole
The
world?
universe. Yeah, it's a law that
Really?
you're gonna be a president for one day, and they say you have to create a law that's gonna last forever.
Oh, that is so. That's a good question.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
I know there's so many things I want to pick, and I can only pick one.
You just pick one. Just that's gonna last forever. Be conscious about it.
There's some that I want to say, but there are other countries that are already doing it, which is just kind of like we should be doing it. It's a very developed nation. There's no reason we shouldn't be. So I know that one. I would probably say when it comes to wealth and the income to which a person can obtain, or the wealth status of people, I think there should maybe be like some sort of cap to where nowadays we have millionaires, billionaires, and extravagant amount of people in that top 1%. And I think that shouldn't really exist. I think there should be some playing field to where wealth is distributed more evenly throughout everywhere. I think everyone should have access to those things, and that basically comes down to universal healthcare, having access to education, access to transportation, and a lot of things that people who have jobs may take for granted or don't think about, because there is a steady income. We don't have to worry about money. But then I would say probably the wealth distribution. I would figure out a way to make it more of like an even playing field, so where everyone has access to money in regards to resources so that they can live healthier lives, because that's a huge problem that not only our country is struggling with, is everywhere. So,
yeah, I think that's a really good law.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And the other question that I have for you, when was the last time that you did something for the first time?
Oh, when was that? Oh, I don't know. The first time.
Yeah, when was the last time that you did something for the first time?
I mean, I guess this counts. This is my first podcast.
Awesome. That's good today.
I was gonna say, I was like, wait a second. I know there's something. Yeah, it's this. This is my first podcast.
That's good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the same. I asked the same thing to Matthew last week, and I say, yeah, doing the podcast is that will be my answer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. So I was like, wait, there has to be something. I'm like, it's literally this.
Awesome. Perfect. And the last question is, which book would you recommend to somebody that is struggling with taking decision or is struggling with their life?
That's
a book that you said, oh, I read this book and this book like totally changed my life. Which book you will recommend to?
There's a handful of them that I've read. Actually, can I look at my list? I think I don't know the name of it. Can I look on my phone?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Well, in my case, I will.
Oh wait, hold on.
You have it here.
Okay.
In my case, I will say, "The Universe Has Your Back" by
I don't think I've read that.
Gabby Bernstein.
I've heard of that.
Yeah,
I've
that
not
book,
read
that was
it.
the one. I think that book like totally changed my life. And I'm gonna read it again because I every time that I read it, it's really good.
I feel like
There's so many books, I think so.
no. Mm,
What is the first one that came to your
the first one that came to mind was probably, yeah, I don't know. So there's so many books that are probably in there. I'll probably be searching for so long.
Then you're gonna live here and say, "Oh, this one."
I know. I'll probably text you like it was this one. I really liked 4 Hour Work Week was really good.
Mhm.
I forget who it's by. Tim Ferriss, maybe? I think. But 4 Hour Work Week, I really like. It's not so much like it kind of does help with like decision making, but it kind of gives you another perspective on how to live your life and how
Mhm.
you can set up a system or make changes in your life. They don't have to be super complex. They can be the most minute of things, but you can make these changes that will make areas of your life drastically better. And he does a really good way of describing it and kind of giving a lot of examples and a lot of you know case studies and things that he's done. So 4 Hour Work Week, it's a really
That's
good
good.
book.
Say that again.
4 Hour Work Week.
4 Hour Work Week.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, that's your recommendation.
Yeah.
That's good. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you for being here today
Thank you
again.
for
It was
having me.
of course it was a pleasure for me to have this conversation. I learned a lot from these two, and I know that people that are gonna be watching and listening to us are gonna learn also from you. And you remember, if you wanna like contact you, they can Facebook and Instagram, and
Yep.
just gonna see over here.
Perfect.
Awesome, perfect. And remember to subscribe to our channel. Hit the like button and also share with your friends. Thank you so much. It was a really nice episode today, and I'm looking forward to watching the next episode. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you, Noah.
Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.